Okay, guys, let's go through these. All right, a couple different ways you could look at the tangent, cotangent. You could think cotangent is 1 over tangent, write it that way. You could write them as sine over cosine and cosine over sine. I don't care which way you do it. Whatever you see that makes more sense to you is fine with me. I'm going to do tangent and turn cotangent into 1 over tangent. Again, doesn't matter. What is the tangent times 1 over tangent become? 1. So I have 1 minus cosine squared. What is that? Yes, Pythagorean identity. That is sine squared, and you're done.
You also said I get to do it.
Well, I said you could do the tangent as sine over cosine and cotangent as cosine over sine. Is that what you're talking about, or something else?
Cosine squared will just take away the 2 cosines.
No. You're subtracting there. You're not. They don't cancel out with multiplying. They cancel with multiplying, not with subtracting. Correct?
With the tangent, cotangent, isn't that already reciprocal? So would we have to flip it to make it 1? Or can it
Just go straight to 1. That's okay. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Other questions? All right, second one is definitely trickier. There are lots of places to make algebraic mistakes here. So let's see. Hopefully you didn't make any, but let's see. All right, I'm going to start, again, different ways to do this one. Cosine squared, I'm going to write that as 1 minus sine squared. So that numerator I'm turning into a 1 minus sine squared. Most people are okay there. You can always replace cosine squared with 1 minus sine squared.
I knew that, but in this case, I wanted to.
Okay. All right. Here's where people like to sort of make up math. You just want to start crossing things out. Cannot do that. What we can do, leave the 1 alone out here. It's not part of the fraction. We can factor this numerator. It's difference of squares, so it's going to be 1 minus sine times 1 plus sine. What are we wetting? You tell me. And then that's still over 1 plus sine. Do you guys see it?
Yeah.
The factoring? Don't get crazy crossing stuff out too early. Because remember, I don't just look and say, oh yeah, you got to the right last step. I check everything along the way, and if you're making up algebra rules along the way, I can't give you credit. So, factor. Then, can I cancel something out?
Yes.
Yes, then I can cross out the 1 plus signs. Okay. And it's in parentheses here because I'm subtracting that entire thing. So it's really 1 minus 1 plus sine of theta. Are we okay with distributing that negative? What is 1 minus 1? So I'm left with sine of theta equals sine of theta. Okay. How many got both of them right? How many got at least one right? Okay, pretty good start. Questions on that one? I'll leave it up here for a minute. But any part of that, Tyler?
For the second one, can you just do the bottom one because 1 plus sine, that's cosine, or could you just do
1 plus sine is not cosine.
oh, minus.
And it has to be 1 minus sine squared. If they're not squared, you can't use the Pythagorean identity. So, yeah. Guys, you also can't just take the one that's out front and like smush it into the fraction and be like, oh, that's part of the numerator now. That's not how fractions work, okay? So again, lots of places to make algebra mistakes there. Other questions? Okay, let's look at the trig values then. What is the sine of 4 pi over 3? Root 3 over 2, yeah. Cosine of negative 5 pi over 6. Negative root 3 over 2. Tangent of 5 pi over 3. go. Sine of 7 pi over 6. I gave you lots of negatives. All right, tangent of pi over 2. Undefined. And guys, remember, you can't say, okay, that's 1 over 0, and then stop there. That means if you leave it like that, that's telling me you don't really know what it is. You're searching for pity points, okay? Right, undefined. You can abbreviate, that's fine. What is the cosine of 4 pi over 3? Sine of pi? 0. Tangent of 5 pi over 6. Okay. Pretty good on the trig values? They're getting better, right, guys? Okay, any questions before we just go to the trig quiz? We'll come back to homework questions, but since this is fresh in your head, let's do your trig quiz.
Wait, was it just unidentified?
Not unidentified, but undefined.
Undefined.
Yes. And not number 7, but yes, number 7. Sorry, I forgot what number it was. Okay, guys. A couple of bonus seconds for you. Right, yes, please. Leave it upside down. I drop. I keep your 5 best, so
How many are we doing?
this is number 6.
6. You gotta keep that. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. That's fine.
That means stay.
It's gonna be. It take more than that.
You want to do like multiple?
Do like one.
One day.
Take the last
Wait, for the average, can an average just be like plus or minus? Or is it?
Whole grade. But if you're, so with 5 of them, it's like 0.2s would be what it is. So like if you're at a 3.2, I would keep that as D. But if you're at, well, not, anyway, the 0.2s, 0.2, 0.4 would round down, 0.6, 0.8 would round down. That makes sense. Maybe. Okay. And guys, the trig quizzes are weighted more than the unit circle. Okay, unit circle is like 1/3 of the grade, and the trig quizzes are 2/3 of that combined grade. Okay. All right, we ready? Go. Good luck, guys. You can do it. when you're done, flip it over. Okay guys, that's time. If you have extended time, you know who you are, you can keep working. Draw me a picture. All right, guys, focus time. Pencils down. Hang on Good about that one? Okay. They're getting better.
Yeah. It was 0 for 1, which is not. Divide 0 by 8.
Okay, guys, paddle.
Well, it's 0 by 0. Is 0 by 0 undefined or 0? Like, if you're trying to say something I would just do it. You're so down.
I know that. I thought it was this one.
All right, guys, let's look at homework questions before we start new stuff. Drew, was it number 12?
Number 8 and number 14.
Okay, they were the same one, right? Okay.
The right side is probably Wasn't that the repeat?
Yeah. So I said 8 or 14. I'll just do the whole thing, just to make sure we're good with all of that. Guys, I would turn this one into sines and cosines. So I'm going to make tangent sine over cosine. And cotangent, I'll make cosine over 1. No? Sine? No. It's not always equal 1. It's not equal 1, no. Right, it's addition. Okay, when we're adding fractions, what do we need? Yes. So I'm going to make that cosine sine. First fraction, what was it missing? Like if you look at the denominator, what did it need? Sine. It already had the cosine. So this is, you don't have to write this, but this is what you're doing. You're taking it times sine over sine. And the other one, do you guys see it? I'd be taking it times cosine over cosine. With me there? Okay. So what does the numerator become of the left fraction? Sine squared theta. And what about the other numerator? Okay. Are we okay to that point? Common denominators seem to be a bit of a struggle. So are we getting better? The numerator is 1. Yeah. Sine squared plus cosine squared, that's your Pythagorean identity, your original one. That is 1. Now, you can certainly turn this side into the other side, or you could go over here and say, well, secant is 1 over cosine, and cosecant is 1 over sine. So when I multiply them, I get that.
Oh, no, okay, then.
Okay, but you again could have turned the left side into secant, cosecant, same step. That'd be fine. Does that make sense, Drew?
Yeah.
Okay. What else, guys? What other ones do you want to see from the homework?
Number 12.
12, sure. Okay, a couple different ways to do this. I feel like I say that every time, but there usually are. So you could do secant as 1 over cosine and do some common denominator stuff. Or, guys, do you recognize this? If I have like 4 minus 5 over 2, do you know that I can make that 4 over 2 minus 5 over 2? Like, do you know that you can split a fraction up like that? Yeah? Okay. That's what I would do here. Okay.
So, since this is
I'm listening.
fraction, do you think you can cross out secant and secant or not?
No. So think numbers. 3 minus 5 over 3. Can I cross out the 3's?
No.
No. Because 3 minus 5 over 3 would be negative 2/3, right? If you do it by crossing things out, you suddenly have negative 5. Those are not the same, okay? You can only cross out factors, not individual terms. That's not supposed to say sign.
So that would be 1.
Okay, so everybody see this one becomes 1. Secant is 1 over cosine, right? What do I do with that when it's a fraction and a fraction? Not multiply both sides, but yeah, so this is going to be right, dividing by a fraction, you flip both sides. There's really, it's not both.
There's a combination.
Squared and then numeric, okay? Good now? Okay. Again, other ways you could do this one. So, anything else, guys, from your homework? Any others you want to see? Yeah.
I think I'm ready. Can we go over 16?
Sure. Did you do it in like 2 steps?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. Assuming they're the right 2 steps, I guess. Okay, what is 1 minus cosine squared? Yes. What is 1 plus cotangent squared? What do you know about sine and cosecant? Yeah, so when I multiply them, what do I get?
It's actually so long to do that question.
Yeah, there's...
Not like factors and...
Yeah, you can multiply it all out and then you have a big old mess on your hands, so yeah.
That's
Do it
where I
this
was.
way. So this is what I'm saying, if you know,
actually
knowing the Pythagorean identities and recognizing them makes these so much shorter. Okay? Any others you want to see?
I'm ready to go to
Quizzes. Yes. No notes today, guys.
Oh my gosh, thank you.
You're welcome.
Yes.
All right, guys, partner quizzes time. Yeah.
So on the and then back to
Reassessment, yes.
and then the one
You're going
No,
down.
no, no, no. Just the 2. So just this and the ground.
What is it going down?
Well, cumulative is going to have 4, 5, which was graphing, 6, which is this, 7, and 8.
Oh my gosh, that's gonna be so fun.
It's going to be a big cumulative.
So it's gonna have the one before that.
Yeah. But your next assessment date, like the regular test days, will only have 2 skills on them. Yeah. Guys, you're gonna want paper, dry erase board, something to do these quizzes questions on. I don't know. I don't know what happens with. Sorry, guys, for Thanksgiving. Okay, here we go. Join in, guys.
So 1 plus 4.
No, it's Irish, it's not.